Wherever the clients go, advertisers follow. After radio, TV found its audience and the advertisers followed.
Technology changed again, and then came the time of online platforms helping businesses engage with their target clients.
Across a slew of different digital platforms. Hello and welcome. Today on the show, we'll take you inside a digital advertising agency. We will explore the career options that exist and also take a look the kind of skill sets that are required to make it. Now I'm joined by Glenn Island, CEO Dentsu Digital and CEO North Web Chutney. Thanks for talking to us, Glenn. Glenn, to begin with, tell us what is the difference between a digital agency and a traditional advertising marketing agency?
Okay, so I'll start off by saying that I've had the opportunity of working on both sides. I started my career in an advertising agency. I spent about 10 years in mainstream or mainline advertising. I then had the opportunity to transition into the digital space. Mainline agencies largely work on mediums like television, print, out of home. That's pretty much where a lot of the mainline advertising works. Digital agencies, obviously, with the growth of the internet, with mobile phones becoming a big part of consumer behavior and everyday life. That's pretty much where digital agencies have sort of found an opportunity to sort of build a business around. Also, the other difference is that the kind of people who traditionally have moved to traditional advertising agencies are people who've come out of advertising schools, right. People who've come out of business schools, where maybe advertising was an elective in your MBA course. Right. Digital marketing traditionally sort of had different people joining up who have probably had a technology bent of mind, people who were more driven by numbers in that sense. So those are fundamentally, I think, the kind of differences at a very macro level, right, between a digital and an advertising agency. Yeah.
And in terms of a campaign, so for a traditional advertising agency and for a digital agency, how the campaigns which are designed for different brands are different?
Typically, advertising briefs tend to start with an offline kind of an agenda. When I say offline, it means your traditional advertising agenda. Typically, a lot of brands would start by looking at what the role for television would be or what a print campaign would look like. Right. And after that, they tend to look at how would that main communication or main advertising sort of plan cascade across digital as a medium.
Right. But brief is common for both traditional advertising
Not
agency
necessarily, because the role for television is quite different to the role of a mobile handset from a communications platform perspective, right? Yeah. So the requirements for the campaign are quite different. The deliveries of that campaign, the measurements of that campaign are different. Sometimes the objectives of what the campaign needs to deliver is different as well. So a television commercial, for that matter, in mainline advertising would be largely to build awareness and consideration for a brand. Whereas on the digital side, it might be about converting the communication to a trial or to get someone to maybe fill up a form, things like that. So the objectives tend to differ, right, from a mainline advertising agency or a mainline campaign to a digital campaign.
And keeping all these different departments in mind, of course, the education qualifications required will be different for somebody wanting to work on different teams. Yeah. But what would you say a few skill sets or a few common traits which a company like an organization like Web Chutney will look for in an applicant?
So it really depends. I think honestly, what we look for, apart from, of course, education, is somebody with a great attitude. Right. Somebody who has a passion and flair for what they want to do in life. Right. But from a hardcore education perspective, if you're in the account management side, a degree in business management always helps. Right. If you are in the art side, if you come out of an art school, that certainly is plus. Exactly. If you are in a copy and you're writing content. If you've gone again to an ad school and learned how to copyright, then obviously that's a plus point. So, but education, along with I think great attitude and a passion to do something different and creative, is really what we look for.
Right. Campaigns drive strategies, but what drives strategies? What do you have for us, Sima?
Yes, Abhishek, I'm with Ishita now from the client servicing and the strategy team. Ishita, at what point does a strategy team come in a digital ad agency?
So honestly, Simar, if I have to tell you, it's something that it's a process that pervades across. You know, it pervades across from the beginning of the time the client comes on board, and even before when we pitch to clients. The first stage for us to actually look at what we need to do is for the strategy team to come on board.
Okay.
So from the time that a client tells us, here is my business problem, here is my brand problem, or the challenges I face, or the plans that I want to make,
Okay.
the strategy team sort of takes that and percolates it into an actual brief that would go out to the creative team.
Okay.
And essentially then puts it down into some kind of achievable goals, KPIs or metrics that we need to achieve from a digital point of view. So they're really like the bridge between, say, a brand goal and actually what we want to do on digital. And that's essentially what the strategy team sort of plays.
What would you say drives different sort of campaigns for a strategy team? For example, let's say from a food brand to a telecom brand, how would you differentiate and sort of chalk out the strategy that you would, sort of go about for a particular brand?
Okay. So usually the way we function on a strategic point of view is we have a standard framework, and that framework helps us understand the constraints within the brand environment. Whether it's Coca-Cola or an automotive brand or a durables brand, irrespective, we would continue to work on the strategies through that framework. And based on what environment they're in, what is the category, what is the competition doing, what do they want to do, we then work out what are the opportunities that they should be looking at and driving forward. Okay. So while food and telecom and all of these categories might have a different impact on strategy.
Also, another thing that I would really want to ask you is that, the boom of social media is everywhere, has, anything relating to your strategies, have you sort of changed the way you would look at a brand and sort of advertise about it earlier from then to now? Has it sort of...
So one of the things that we have done is a lot of brands are not looking at social media as like a siloed communication, right? Okay. So for instance, a lot of brands come to us and say, you know what, we want to put the QR code, or we want to put the URL and those sort of things of Facebook on the print ad. A lot of brands want to do print ads for social campaigns only. So there's a huge change in that sense, where they're seeing sort of digital resting in the center, and they're sort of cascading other mediums around it. The other change that we have seen is because there have been recent changes in the algorithm on Facebook. So a lot of brands now, instead of saying we want to do one post every day and inundate our fans with a lot of content, that's not necessary. And it's almost spammy in that sense. There's almost a sort of negative pushback that consumers are doing to brands. Like, they don't want to see so much. There's been so much enthusiasm, but they want to see quality content. So a lot of brands are actually pushing back and saying we shouldn't do one post a day. Yeah. So, and a lot of brands are saying let's do one meaningful piece of content in a week.
I think it's the last question. I will wrap up with that. What sort of skills do you think a person needs to have to be a part of a strategy team in a digital ad agency?
So I think the first thing that you need in any sort of creatively led medium would be a very, very healthy sense of inquisitiveness, right?
Okay.
You need to have the curiosity to say, okay, fine, so this is the way it is. This is how we've been advertising all these years. What if we can do something different, but still have an incremental, sort of result to it?
Here are the top 5 things that a brand must keep in mind while engaging with users on different platforms of social media. Take a look.
Keep your target audience in mind when you are trying to understand what to do on digital. Understand what their behavior is and the platforms that they're using. Strategy number 2 is to be mobile ready because most online consumption right now is happening on mobile. Have a content plan ready for your brand because today marketing, advertising, as well as technical fields like SEO get really impacted by content and the kind of content you put out in the market. Strategy number 4 is to not stay silent when you have started a conversation with your audience. Strategy number 5 is to effectively use your media and get a multiplier effect by ensuring that all touch points are integrated.
Well, those were the top 5 strategies which can help any brand trying to promote itself online on different social media platforms. Now, I'm joined by Gurbaksh, Chief Creative Technologist, Web Chutney, member of the creative team. Gurbaksh, creative team is one of the most important teams in terms of, the larger scheme of things. Tell me, at what point does a creative team come in the picture?
So usually when there is a campaign, the client called for a brief, we involve the creative in the very beginning stage to understand what's the necessity of the campaign. Then the creative team work closely with the strategy and the social media to plan a campaign.
Right. And you work in tandem with these teams throughout the campaign.
Right. So everyone's know what's happening and there's a good coordination in the team.
So different brands, for different reasons, need different strategies. I mean, for a beverage brand which wants to appeal to youth, of course, that's a concern. So they will want that incorporated in their scheme of things in their campaign. What other concerns like that the creative team has while they're working on a particular campaign?
See, planning a campaign, you need to understand the target audience. That's very important. Then whom you're talking. Then you need to see what others are doing in terms of brand competition.
A little bit about one of the fun campaigns that you might have worked on, which are close to your heart.
I think there's one campaign we did for Desi Martini. It's called allaboutRajni.com. I think
Right.
that's the one key campaign which is very near to my heart. So
And for what reasons?
it was very fun working on the campaign. So there's a one website we did for Rajnikant.
Right.
So Rajnikant is a character like impossible to believe.
Yes.
So we come up with the idea. There's one website which runs without internet.
Okay.
That whole thing was like perfect match.
Any other campaigns that you can think of on those lines or on a different line altogether, which were perhaps just as fun?
We did one campaign for an harmonium brand.
Okay.
That was very fun to do. So there's one website which plays on a laptop. So you need to play the laptop in a fashion you play a harmonium.
You would a harmonium, right?
Right. So that was something very different for the
Right.
audience to experience. Campaign we did internally for Web Chutney.
Okay.
It's called Pilu.
Oh yes, I've heard about that one, but please do go ahead and explain it to us, the entire concept.
So generally what we found that in our office there is only one loo.
Right.
And it was occupied all the time. So people were going, standing at the door and knocking and doing crazy things because someone is inside.
Right.
So we come up with a small device with an app. So you install the app on your phone and you can remotely check whether the loo is occupied or not. And you can even knock the door also.
Right. And you can do all of that while sitting in your chair.
Yeah.
You don't have to move out and stand in a queue.
Yeah, and then people were like crazy doing funny stuff because when people keep on doing knocks on the door remotely from your desktop.
Right. So it became something which it wasn't intended for, but right. And also the definition of creativity involved in campaigns, I guess, has changed because now it's a lot more about engagement and not so much about just, making an ad and putting it out there and expecting people will like it. And
Today, marrying creativity with technology is a key for any campaign. I think interaction design become so important that you need to understand how the consumer going to react with the campaign.
right.
So you need to tackle all the points, keep in the mind that how you can serve differently.
Right.
So it has a long-lasting impact.
Okay. Thanks for talking to us, Gurbaksh.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
On that note, we will slip into a quick break, but you don't go anywhere as there is a lot more coming up on the other side.